Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be taking the LX700h Overtrail off-road. This is the 300 series Land Cruiser, and we're just going to see how it performs. With that being said, let's get right into the video. So quickly going over some specs, this has about 10 inches of ground clearance in the higher ride height setting, which is actually really good for a Land Cruiser. Most of them clock in at under 9 inches. The approach angle, though, is less than 30 degrees because of the stupid front bumper. But anyways, tires, they're a little bit less than 32 inches tall, and this is right now in the higher ride height setting, as you can see. When it comes to equipment, we have a front and a rear diff lock. We also have a center diff lock. Again, you got the adjustment for the suspension. This comes with multi-terrain select. It has a 2-speed transfer case. Something that I noticed, just to quickly note, if you put MTS on in 4-wheel high, it'll automatically raise it to H1, which is the first off-road height. If you throw it in 4-wheel drive low, which we are, it automatically puts it in H2, which is the highest ride height setting. I've got some good news for you guys. It snowed this morning, and so we've got mud. When this is dry, it's not all that eventful, but with mud, this will push the systems a little bit more. Now, what I will say is the power delivery with this is quite impressive. Tons of low-end torque, and the traction control system, it is working. It's just silent now. Quite seamless. Now, I am intrigued to see how this ends up performing with the approach and departure angle. I am really struggling here. The system is getting bogged down quite substantially. Oh, come on. There we go. That was a bit of an impact with the rock, not with the car body, but with the tire. But consistent throttle, and we were able to make it through. That was a little bit harsher than I thought. I thought the suspension on this was a little bit smoother. That wasn't horrible by any means. But yeah, I thought it would be just a little bit smoother over that. But that was actually very impressive. I mean, so if you don't know, thin layer of topsoil, clay underneath, that is super slick. Most vehicles would have gotten stuck and I would have started sliding back. So like the fact that this just made mincemeat out of that was actually extremely impressive, and just goes to show you the engineering that went into the traction control system here. Now, another thing that I will say that is quite impressive is, unlike vehicles with air suspension like Land Rover Defender, for example, this at the top of the suspension is actually pretty comfortable and still has solid articulation. Just compression, everything's really good. This thing's pretty easy to maneuver. It is a big beast. The 200 series Land Cruiser is about 194 inches in length. This is about 200 inches in length, so 6 extra inches to have to go through the trail. It's getting into the territory where it feels like I'm driving a pickup truck, which makes sense because a mid-sized pickup truck is 200, and most of them are 205 to 210 in terms of length. But it's still pretty easy to maneuver, and I will say the comfort's really good. I do feel like some people have said this is like one of the most comfortable vehicles they've taken off-road. I don't know if it's more I don't think it's any more comfortable than like the GX550 with the EKDSS or my 200 series Land Cruiser with just regular KDSS. But I will say it is definitely more on the comfortable setting, especially when you compare it to like a Wrangler or a Bronco or even you know, Grenadier, G-wagon, that type of stuff. It's actually pretty impressive. Now this right here will get a little bit articulated. I'll get you guys some exterior shots once we're in the rock crawling section of today's video. This is just kind of general trail running, and yeah, it articulates like a Land Cruiser, which is actually quite impressive. People always talk about or talk crap on Toyotas, but you know, KDSS, which this doesn't have, has the hydraulic suspension, but that and this hydraulic suspension seem to articulate pretty well. But this does have, from my understanding, the sway bar is removed in the rear with this. That was pretty darn good, honestly. That was pretty darn good articulation there. I will say, over the little rocks and everything, it's also pretty darn comfortable. This is really nice. It does remind me quite a bit of my 200 series. The only thing that I'll knock this for is the engine. And I want to get the side-by-side comparison. I'm doing that tomorrow. I'm taking them both off-road and the 250 off-road. But I do think I still kind of prefer the engine performance in the 200 series. Yeah, if you kind of go at quicker speeds, they really want you to kind of be in four-wheel drive high with this. I'm noticing with how this, it doesn't upshift as much as the 200 series. Interesting. I guess for this part of the trail, here, we'll just do this. So to get into neutral is kind of annoying. You got to hold this to the side, then it gets into neutral. I'm sure you get used to it over time. Okay. Now we're in high. Yeah, see, so much better. They want you to, that's the thing that's weird about these new Toyota/Lexus products, and now we're in H1, so we've got a little bit less clearance, is they want you to use both high and low range off-road. You're going to be switching between the two. Basically, you're only going to be in four-wheel drive low if you're actually crawling up stuff, but for most of the trail, you're going to be in high, which it's got the torque for it. It's fine. It's just kind of counterintuitive because usually when you off-road, you're just in low the whole time. Look at our hill climb. I've got the windows rolled down a little bit, so there's gonna be a little bit more noise. I will say in four-wheel drive high, it actually is in electric mode a lot of the time as you're kind of just cruising through the trail. So you use, even though this doesn't have great fuel range because it's got like I think it's like an 18 something gallon fuel tank, you actually don't end up going through nearly as much gas when you're going through the trail as a regular car because it's just constantly in EV mode doing regen and everything to where, yeah, it's just using the battery to propel you forward for the most part. Now this, I mean, you might want to be in four-wheel drive low because it's getting a little bit steeper, but the reason I want to show this to you guys is just to show you how comfortable the suspension is. Like this kind of stuff in most cars, my goodness, it brutalizes them. I don't know if I'm going to clear that rock. No, that's good. Absolutely brutalizes them. So this we're definitely going to switch over into here. This is where we'll use the lockers. Okay, so we're in neutral. I'm still getting used to using the tech here. Okay, so we'll just press both of them. Oh, we got to center diff lock first. Okay, so center diff lock and then press both of those. Okay, so the lights are blinking, but the diffs should be locked. The steering feels different. Yeah, the diffs are definitely locked. Oh yeah, it shows indicated now. So the control, I mean, it's as expected, triple locked. And again, you gotta remember, this is pretty loose terrain here. And it should be pretty easy to unlock the diffs, so just hold them down again, press the center, and everything should be, the lights are, yep, the lights are all blinking, so it's, oh, it still feels like they're, there you go, I can hear it now. Okay, so it actually does take a second. It definitely takes a second. Now, I'm not trying to do neutral, I'm trying to do manual mode. There we go. I will say the limiting factor so far hasn't actually been the clearance, it's been the tires. These tires getting the mud and everything all over them, it's caused the traction control system to work quite hard, but it's handled everything beautifully so far. First rock crawl obstacle, we're gonna take it slow because we've got side steps, not rock rails. Definitely don't want to, that was a splash card, definitely don't want to bottom out on those. Now this has a 112-inch wheelbase, so I should be fine on the breakover. Still gonna take it slow. Sorry, I might be a little bit jerky on this, but I'm listening. Okay. There's a traction control system working. I was sliding a little bit. Lexus? More like Flexus, am I right? So this right here will show you why the new diff locks are so valuable. So we're gonna get really articulated here, and this is completely unlocked. And you'll notice I'm not making any progress. A little bit, but it's basically stuck. So if I do a center diff lock, this is what a 200 series has. So we'll reverse a little bit. It's locked. Now we'll go forward again. And notice it's doing the same thing. It just can't get enough traction because the suspension is fully flexed out. Well, may I introduce you to our Lord and Savior rear differential lock. We're not even going to use the front, just the rear. And look at this. Now I'm not going to go too high because we'll start tipping, but you can see instantly we gain progression where we had basically gotten bogged down. So the traction control system is fantastic when you are not super articulated, but once you become super articulated, the traction control system is no longer sufficient and diff locks are what you need. So a couple quick side notes. This is where the passenger front tire was digging in, and then this is where the driver rear tire was digging in. And the reason why that was happening is, well, that tire was about to lift off the ground, so you're not going to get that much traction, you're just going to spin. And then this tire over here again was starting to lift off of the ground because all the weight was on the driver's side, and then this tire was completely crunched in, and so this was really the only wheel that was that one. Then the front one was creating a little bit of push, but it was really this one. But once you're crunched in, it's like you really need lockers to be able to progress. Now we're going to take things slow here. We're kind of descending, a little bit articulated, well, more than a little bit articulated. So this is one, oh no. As I was saying before the wind rudely interrupted us, this is one, am I stuck on something? I was gonna say, this is one downside about independent suspension. Let's check it out. Everything looks fine. Huh. I'm wondering if it maybe slid a little bit here on these rocks. I don't know. That was weird. It didn't feel like sliding. It felt like I had collided with something. That was really strange. Sorry, this is taking longer than I thought it would. I guess this will be our last obstacle. Man, the control you can have with this thing is actually pretty impressive. I'm gonna have to move that rock, sorry. This will be good. This will show you guys what it's like to off-road sometimes. Oh man, this is a big sucker. Thing probably weighs about I don't know, maybe 100 pounds or something. Not that bad. That's why you lift weight, folks. So you can pick up the heavy stones. Okay, take 50. Okay. Sorry, I'm taking this really slow. Because I do not have rock rails. It's doing electric. It was, but now it's electric again. Man, I will say you can be pretty precise with this. Do have to be careful though because of the, I mean, with this car, I'll just say you have to get rock sliders. Let us get our quick summary in here with the wrong one. I keep thinking, wait, there we go. With the LX700h Overtrail again, the 300 series. Here's how I see it. The height adjustable suspension is actually pretty nice for daily use. Makes getting in and out a little bit easier, especially if you put bigger tires on this. Having the ability to set it down, that'll be nice. You don't have to worry about doing power steps or anything like that. And then off-road, obviously the extra clearance is nice. What I noticed is H1 is about the same amount of clearance as a 200 series Land Cruiser. H2 is taller. Just to give you guys an idea with that. Now, this has a lot of tech and it definitely takes some time to get used to the tech. But once you get used to it, it's really good. It's very, very capable. That being said, with everything considered, this does give you a little bit more of a luxury experience off-road than a 200 series, but it's not really that much better, to be frank. And when it comes to capability, really the biggest benefit you get with this is the fact that it has lockers. So, and I think that's a big deal, right? With the 200 series, a lot of people that do crazy crawling and stuff with it, they gotta add air lockers to it, is what typically happens. Whereas this has it all from the factory. And so it's quite impressive. So the MTS, it seems like it's just as capable as before. It's just quiet. And then having those lockers adds a layer of control, a layer of capability that the 200 series did not have from the factory. So I think with where 200 series are priced at, if you're going to want to take one of these off-road, I think this might actually make sense to go for. If 200 series were a lot cheaper, then it would, yeah, then I go that route. But they've held their value so well that you can get this brand new, full warranty. And here's what I'll close with. I did not have a single issue with the front end. I did not hit the front end once. Where I felt like I was limited was the tire grip. So just a better set of tires, probably slightly larger tires than what this has, and that would fix any issues that I have with the vehicle. So let me know you guys think about the new 300, but I'm very impressed and I'm excited to compare this off-road against the 250 and the 200 to see which one is the top dog.